There is no such thing as a bad meditation. Those are the words of Dr. Joe Dispenza. Now, meditation is a practice. So the more you do it, the better you will get. And think of it like going to the gym. The first day you go to the gym, you're not going to walk out with all those big muscles. The second day you go to the gym, you're still not going to walk out with big muscles. You have to commit and be consistent and show up every day. And then over time, you build strength and muscles. It's the same idea. You've got to commit to meditation. You've got to be consistent, showing up every day. And then over time, you will get better with it. You will find it easier to get into a deep meditative state. So as long as you commit to this practice, you will get there. Now, I have been meditating for the last 8 years, and I started meditating before I even had a spiritual awakening. And the reason I started meditating was because I learned that it's a great technique for training yourself to be calm in a stressful situation. And I was someone that had really bad anger problems. I was very short-tempered. It didn't take much to set me off. And I had anger problems for, I'm not even really sure how long, but over 10 years. And after a while, it gets pretty exhausting because when you get angry, it does take up quite a bit of energy. And I got to the point where I was just sick of my own shit, basically. So I learned about meditation and I thought, man, it would be really cool to train myself to be calm in a stressful situation. So I went to Google. I didn't even watch YouTube on it. I just went to Google, read the instructions, and then just started doing it. And I remember when I was new to meditation, I'd be sitting there wondering, like, is this it? Is this what I'm supposed to be doing? Am I doing it right? Like, I had all these thoughts going on because I had no idea what I was like supposed to expect. And I had one of my followers reach out and ask me to make a video on how to go deeper into meditation. And I thought that's a really great idea because I didn't have anyone actually explain it to me. So it took me a few years of figuring it out on my own. So I wanted to make this video to hopefully fast track people and get you there quicker than what it took me. Now, meditation is a great tool because you can use it for different purposes and different benefits, and there are different ways to meditate. So it also comes down to what your goal is with meditation, what you are aiming for. I already have a video on the different purposes and benefits, the different techniques. So I will link that video at the end of this one if you want to check that out. Now, one of the main reasons to meditate is to get out of your ego and to get your brainwaves to drop. While I was in meditation, I was listening to one of Dr. Joe Dispenza's meditation. My mind sort of was getting distracted because I was kind of like paying attention to myself, but also trying to figure out how can I explain this to other people so they can understand what it's like to be in a deep meditation. And this analogy came to me whilst I was in my meditation. So the analogy is think of yourself being in the ocean. And a common problem that people have with meditating, especially when they're new, is their mind is always wandering off. So when your mind's wandering off, you're not in a deep meditation, but think of it like you're swimming on the surface of the ocean. So you're just swimming on the surface. It's really easy for you to pick your head up out of water. So think of that as being like when your mind's wandering. You haven't gone into a deep meditation when the mind's still being active. Because the idea is to drop your brainwaves, and as you drop your brainwaves, you break through the analytical mind, which is the ego, the chatter brain that never shuts up. So if your mind's still wandering, you haven't broken through the analytical mind. Now, when you're in the ocean swimming, imagine you're diving deeper and deeper and deeper into the water. You're going down under the water. It takes more effort to come back up to the surface. And also when you swim down into the ocean deeper and deeper and deeper, it gets a lot more peaceful and quiet than when you're on the surface. So it's the same idea. When you drop your brainwaves, it's like very peaceful and quiet because the chatter brains shut up. So, and then when you come out of meditation, it takes more effort to come out because as you meditate, like I said, your brainwaves are dropping. As your brainwaves are dropping, it's like falling asleep, but you're not going all the way. So as you're coming out of the meditation, it's like almost like having to wake up again. And this is why at the end of meditations, you don't want to abruptly come out of the meditation because you could just ruin all the work that you just did. This is why you, like especially in a guided meditation, you are guided to gently come out of it by wiggling the fingers and wiggling the toes and gently bringing your awareness back into the body. So it's like waking up from a deep sleep, but you're not fully asleep. So we have these different brain waves, and there's 5, but we'll focus on the main 4. The 5th one is gamma, but the main 4 is beta brainwave. Beta is when you are awake, alert, aware, you're conscious. This is the brainwave that adults operate in. And then we have alpha brainwave. Alpha is when you're in a more relaxed state. So when you're sitting there watching TV, your brain will drop into alpha, you're in a more relaxed state. And when you're in alpha, this is when you're entering the subconscious mind. So this is why you want to be mindful with what you're watching on TV, because if you're watching negativity on TV and your brainwaves are dropping into alpha, that can negatively influence your subconscious mind. And then we have theta brainwave. Now, theta brainwave is the brainwave you're aiming for. And theta brainwave is when you're in a light sleep, the dream-like state. And then there's delta, which is when you're in a deep restorative sleep. So that's why I said dropping your brainwaves in meditation is like going to sleep, but you're not going all the way. You don't want to go into delta. If you fall asleep in meditation, you've gone into delta. The idea is basically you want to break through the analytical mind, which separates the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. When you break through that analytical mind, you drop out of the ego. So as you drop out of the ego, you drop into your heart. This is when you're entering theta brainwave. When you enter theta brainwave, you're in your subconscious mind. So this is how we can influence our subconscious mind in a powerful way. Our subconscious minds, we're programmed in the first 7 years of our life. The first 2 years of our life, we're in delta brainwave. And then from the ages of 2 to 6, 7, we're in theta brainwave. And that's when we get all of our programming done. So in order to reprogram the subconscious mind, we have to enter that same brainwave. And so when you drop out of the ego, when your brainwaves are dropping, you drop out of the ego. This is when the ego goes quiet. You have no thoughts, no internal chatter. You just become pure consciousness. So that's like back to the ocean analogy where I said you're diving deeper and deeper into the water and it gets a lot more quiet and peaceful. It's the same idea. It's very quiet and peaceful because that analytical mind has completely shut up. So when you notice that you have no thoughts and you're just there, you're just aware, you're in your subconscious mind, you're in theta brainwave. Now, what also helps to get out of the ego is to become present. You want to focus on being present to the moment, and that gets you out of the ego as well. So I'm going to share some tips in this video for people to try to help yourself get into a deeper meditation. Now, I recommend playing around with these different tips that I'm going to share. Don't just try it once and then be like, oh, it didn't work. So you try another one once, that didn't work. Stick to it for about a week. See how it goes. If it doesn't work for you, try something else. Just mix it up and remember to have fun with it. Meditation isn't supposed to be like a chore or hard work. it's something that's supposed to be enjoyable. So don't get frustrated with yourself if it's just not happening, because like I said, it's a practice. The more you do it, the better you will get. The first few years of me meditating, I had no idea what I was aiming for. I didn't know anything about these different brainwave stages. Now that I understand it, I know when I'm in what brainwave, like the different brainwaves, I know where I'm at. And sometimes I still, to this day, have problems with getting my brainwaves to drop. Sometimes I go to meditate and my mind's wandering as well. It could be there's something that happened yesterday that it was so cool. I'm still excited about it. So I'm like hard out thinking about it and my mind keeps wandering. Or maybe something negative happened that I'm like puzzled about or trying to figure out what to do about it. And so my mind's distracted with that. So this is why I don't want you to be too hard on yourself if it's just not happening for you. Don't get frustrated. Just realize it's a practice and just stay committed and you will get there. So I hope these tips are going to help you. Now, firstly, we are habitual creatures. So I would recommend that you meditate the same time and in the same place every day. Through repetition, habits will become second nature. So it won't be like something you have to make yourself do. You will just naturally get up and go and do it. So the first tip I'm going to share is the best time of day to meditate is the first thing in the morning, as soon as you wake up. Now this is because you go through different brainwave stages as you go to sleep and as you wake up in the morning. So as you go to sleep at night, you go from beta to alpha to theta to delta, boom, you're asleep. In the early hours of the morning, some people are vivid dreamers. I'm a vivid dreamer. Some people don't really remember their dreams, but in the early hours of the morning is when we have our dreams. This is when so the first part of the sleep is delta, when you're in a deep sleep. And then in those early hours in the morning, you're in the theta brainwave where you're having these dreams. And then you wake up in the morning. When you wake up and you're still sort of groggy, still waking up a bit, still a bit sleepy, you're in theta brainwave. So when you first wake up, in those first 20 minutes, roughly, you're in theta brainwave. And this is why it makes it easier to get into theta brainwave through meditation. So what I would recommend, some people don't actually recommend meditating where you sleep. And that's because if you meditate where you sleep, it can actually cause you to fall asleep and you don't want to do that in meditation. However, I don't have that problem. I can meditate where I sleep and it's fine for me. So I would recommend, this is what I do, is as soon as I wake up and I can still feel that I'm groggy, I'm not fully awake, and I can still feel I'm in theta, I just sit up in bed and go into meditation. And this is recommended by people like Dr. Joe Dispenza, getting up early as in the morning and doing it first thing, because your brain hasn't woken up yet, so it's not active with all these thoughts. The analytical mind hasn't kicked in yet, so it makes it a lot easier to enter theta brainwave, get out of the ego. And another thing I wanted to point out actually is when you experience dropping out of the ego, and this is when you drop out of the head and into the heart, this is how you actually enter the quantum field. That's what Dr. Joe Dispenza calls it. That feeling is really addictive. It's really addictive because you can get into these elevated emotions really easily when the ego's quiet. And so when you start experiencing that, if you haven't already, you will notice that it is an addictive feeling. Like, it makes you want to keep meditating because you're like, oh, I really want to feel that again. It's just a great way to get into those elevated emotions. So give that a go. First thing in the morning, as soon as you wake up, don't allow your brain to wake up too much, because sometimes I've allowed my brain to wake up too much and then I've found it difficult to drop my brain waves again. So just do it straight away. Now, the second tip I'm going to give you is, if you find that your mind is wandering and it's just not happening, like I say, it still happens to me sometimes. So if you're like, okay, my brainwaves just aren't dropping, my mind just keeps wandering, I would recommend you switch the meditation, because like I said, there are different purposes and benefits to meditating. So you can switch it to observe your thoughts instead. Because we have these thought patterns running through our minds that are subconscious programs. We have a lot of negative self-limiting beliefs and stories that the ego likes to tell. So by observing our thoughts, this is how we become familiar with what our limiting beliefs are and our thought patterns. And that's the first step to changing them. So, like I said, if you find that it's just not happening, your mind keeps wandering, just get curious. Where's my mind going? Start becoming familiar with what your mind keeps thinking about. Observe it, become aware. And another thing about observing thoughts is that it can actually cause your thoughts to dissipate. It's when you try to control your thoughts, that's when you create resistance. So realize there are different purposes to meditation, and you can just switch it up if your brainwaves aren't dropping and just start observing. And if you notice recurring negative thoughts or self-limiting beliefs coming up, write them down when you come out of meditation, because this is the first step to changing those thought patterns. Now, the third tip I'm going to give you is to just focus on your breath. This is like the classic instructions to meditation. Focus on breathing. And that's because as you focus on your breath, that can help you become present and get into that present moment. And pretty much what the instructions are to meditation is that if you find your mind wandering, you just bring it back to your breath. Don't get frustrated over your mind wandering or think too much about it. Like, oh, my mind keeps wandering, I can't do this. You don't want to waste your energy on that. It's just you notice, okay, my mind's wandered, bring it back to my breath. Mind's wandered again, bring it back to the breath. Because like I said, this is like a practice. It's like you're going through a training, right? And the more you do this, the better you will get. And as you focus on your breath, like you want to do deep belly breathing, and you want to just breathe in, but feel the air going in your body as well, like feel into your body. One of the keys to becoming present is putting your awareness in the body, connecting to the body, getting the awareness out of the head. Because we sit too much up here, a lot of the times, we're in our heads too much. So it's about putting the awareness in the body, and that's what helps you become present as well. So focus on just taking these deep belly breaths and putting the awareness in the body and just feeling into your body. Another tip is you could just put your hands on your heart and imagine breathing through your heart instead of through your nose. And this is a great way to connect you to your heart and to the body as well. So like I said, play around with these different tips and just see what works best for you. And the fourth tip I'm going to share is to set intentions, because setting intentions is powerful. You could set the intention before your meditation to have a deep meditation. Set the intention to get into theta brainwave. Set the intention to become present to the moment. Whatever feels right for you, just set intentions before you meditate, and that can help you get to where you want to go in meditation. Now, the fifth tip I have for you is you could try a journal session before meditation. I find journaling sessions great for just dumping out your thoughts and feelings onto paper to clear out your internal environment. Like if you've got things on your mind that are bothering you, jot it all down, get it out of your system onto paper, and then meditate. And see if that helps you, helps to stop your mind wandering and thinking about all sorts of random things. The sixth tip I'm going to share is a mantra that I learnt from doing this astral projection class. So astral projection is pretty much the same. It's like you're doing it through meditation. It's recommended that you get up and do it first thing early in the morning. And we got taught to use this mantra, which is mind awake, body asleep. Because this is the idea with meditation and getting into the theta brainwaves, is you want the body to go to sleep, but the mind to stay awake. Because like I said, as your brainwaves are dropping, it's like you're falling asleep, but you're not going all the way. And so you can just repeat this mantra in your mind. Mind awake, body asleep. Mind awake, body asleep. Mind awake, body asleep. Over and over and over in your mind. and see if that helps you get out of the ego and quieten down your ego. The 7th tip I have is to meditate in nature. So when you go out in nature, I would actually recommend go for a walk in nature first, because just by going out into nature, it can, get us out of our egos. It can ground us in the body and help us become present to the moment. I've gone for walks in nature and I've been able to channel stuff from my higher self because I got out of my ego. So I would just recommend go for a walk in nature, help to get yourself more present and out of the ego and ground yourself in the body, and then sit down somewhere in nature and meditate and see how that goes for you. And the last tip I have is, if you are tired, sometimes I'm tired, like I might have had a bad sleep, broken sleep or something like that. So the next day I'm just feeling really tired, like I don't really want to do much. I kind of feel like I might need a nap. If you ever feel like that, that is another great time to meditate, because your brain's not going to be so active, so it will be a lot easier to drop your brainwaves. So I hope those tips help. Try out the different tips, stick to them for at least a week, see how they work for you. If it doesn't work, try something else. Keep a positive attitude about it. And I promise you, as long as you stay on the journey of meditation, you will get there. You will experience getting out of your ego and feeling those elevated emotions, entering the quantum field. So I hope these tips really do help you. I'm going to link the other video about the different purposes, benefits, and ways of meditating. So if you want to learn more about that, I will link that at the end of this one. If you like this sort of content or got value out of it, just let me know by hitting the like button or write a comment. If you like this sort of content, make sure you subscribe and hit that bell notification. Have an awesome day. Peace.